there are tricks for being a good presenter, and I think you're amazing at it. You've been a good mentor for me. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions in front of our studio audience today about how they can take their presentation skills to the next level. Tell us a little bit about, first of all, content. Your speech last night was amazing. It has pathos, it has humor, it has a moral, it has a call to action. How do you arrange and compose the perfect speech?
Well, if I'd known it was that good, I would have talked longer. I want to find the guy who asked me how Mike ever got elected governor. Well, I tell you, I've been doing speaking a long time. I started speaking when I was 11 years old because I didn't have any money to go to college. And a guy from the Optimist Club in Oakland, California, where I live, came by and said, "We got a speech contest for young boys." I was taking swimming lessons at the YMCA, and I jumped out of the pool again stark naked. I do a lot of my best work.
Thank you for dressing up today.
And I said, "I'll enter the speech contest." My coach, like most members of a service club, he happened to be a funeral director. He knew nothing more about speaking than I did. I was 11 and he was 40. So we went to the downtown library, wrote a speech, and he said, "I want you to rehearse it in this auditorium where he has funerals." And there were people dead in there, lying in their caskets, waiting for their service. I'd never seen a dead person. And this is what he said to me. He said, "Rick, I want this speech to raise the dead." And I thought, if it does, I'm out of here in a hurry. You have to decide. I believe the fundamental question is, what is the purpose of your speech? What are you trying to accomplish? What are you doing? If you're just wasting people's time, then of course it'll come across that way. Some speeches inform and educate. Other speeches entertain. Other speeches motivate and inspire. And you have to decide, what is the fundamental purpose and objective of this speech? When I speak at multi-district PETS, and I speak at a lot of them every spring, my purpose is to inspire and motivate more than anything else. And I believe that people are motivated more by not what they heard during your speech, not by what you said so much, as by how they feel when you're done. How they feel is what motivates them to a course of action. And if I were a club president, my purpose when I give any kind of a talk or presentation, and I think Mark is correct, and actually I feel a little bit not so inspired to be talking to this group because you've got one of the premier speakers of the Rotary world as your governor next year, and even if it was a close vote, you're lucky to have him.
Thank you, I think. Tell us a little bit about humor. You use humor to great effect. We see a lot of bad humor in speeches, people pretending to be funny or trying to be funny. I don't know that humor can be taught. Should everybody have a go at humor?
I would say no. I think humor is good if you can be self-deprecating in your humor, if you can tell a funny story about yourself. If you get to a point where all you're doing is saying to the audience, "Okay, now listen, I'm going to tell a joke," that's bad, in my opinion. In other words, the story I told last night actually really happened to me. The whole thing, from stepping out of the sauna with a towel around me that wouldn't reach.
Naked.
Yeah, and my wife saying, "I see you had every free meal they offered you." I can remember the whole content. I was in Nigeria not so long ago, and I gave a speech on a Saturday night, and a bunch of people lined up to shake my hand. And there was a 10-year-old boy waiting to shake my hand, all dressed up in a suit, a tie, and a shirt. And he said, "Mr. President, that's the worst speech I ever heard in my life." And I was a little taken back by this, but I thought, what the heck, he's only 10, what does he know? A few other past district governors grabbed my hand, and they said, "President Rick, it was a great speech." I saw this kid standing in line a second time. And I thought, okay, his mother's made him come back to tell me he's sorry for what he said. Stands right in front of the podium with a lot of self-esteem, and he says, "I want to make sure you heard me the first time." That's the worst speech I ever heard in my life. And I thought, I got to chastise this kid, because I know some people think that, but you're really not supposed to say it when you think it. But a past district governor grabbed my head and said, "President Rick, don't pay any attention to this kid. He didn't even hear your speech. He just likes to go around the room listening to what all the other people are saying, and he likes to pass it on." the sort of humor you can infuse in a talk. If something funny happened to you on your way to the Rotary Club that day, somebody thought you were a Kiwanian or something, you can tell that in your speech. But I don't like people who say, now I'm going to tell a joke, so listen, because it sort of turns me off. I like it if it can be a little bit self-deprecating.
Good. Thank you, sir.